Hey, I'm Simon 1G, and you guys are listening to The Center Ring.
Okay, so let's start.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of The Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. Episode 206 coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date, January 19th, 2020. The time, 8:36 p.m. And this might just be the best episode ever, as I am still getting over the flu. I might die. I have this annoying cough. It's not going away. I got my cough drops. I got my water. We're going to get through it, folks. We're going to get through it. I have not had my sickness energy drink that I normally indulge myself with. I'm sticking true to the plan. 2020, Skinny Tim, up until DreamHack Dallas, then we're blowing it up, and Fat Tim's coming back. That's the plan. That's the plan.
Real men have curves, Tim. You know that, man.
Yeah, not this many curves, though. Maybe a few. And that sultry voice you heard is not a Nuge. It's my other brown friend. It's Kevin from ESPN Dallas.
What's poppin', Tim? What's going on? Also, I appreciate the other brown friend comment.
I have tons of brown friends.
All about inclusion over here, boys and girls, on the center ring.
Yeah, I do not turn my head towards other brown friends. You know, I can have as many as I want. I don't go with the Rooney rule does not exist on TCR. We try to get as many brown friends as we can. Not just one. Not just
What do you call your fans? The ringers?
The ringers.
Are they in attendance today?
Yeah, we're sticking with it. I still kind of like it.
I don't hate it. I think it's a great little audience name for yourself. Everybody has their audience name, right?
Yeah, it's coming around. I still feel a little forced using it, but you'll be fine.
Gonna force it until it doesn't feel forced anymore. So that's the trick.
That's right. So Kevin's joining us today because Anuj is either interviewing for the Envy CSGO head coaching job or he's in Hawaii. One or the two. But we got Yikes of the Week. That's not going to stop us from doing Yikes of the Week. We got plenty to get to on that. And e-news, of course. And also talking a little bit about what esports needs. You know, it's NFL playoffs, everything like that. I'm glued to my TV watching football. And I'm thinking to myself, why? Don't get me wrong. I love esports. Obviously, I do this podcast for a reason. But I'm not like, it's not football just yet, right? Everyone's talking about how esports is taking over the NFL. I'm pumping the brakes here because if it was my perfect mold, Kevin, if we could just mold esports into any way we want, there were still things I would love to add to it just to spice it up a little bit.
For sure. I mean, right now, everybody's watching it's just two football games on it. That's just two. Think about that. Esports has how many games going on at the same time?
All the time.
Several
I mean,
hundred?
I could pull up something and watch it all the time.
Exactly. Here, football, just two games. It's so scarce, and yet they're raking in historic numbers this year. Also, congrats to 49ers and Chiefs making it to the Super Bowl. Just enjoying them. I hope they enjoy themselves in Miami, honestly, because man, it's freezing cold out here.
It's not too bad here in Dallas.
Oh, I forget you're from like far up.
Yeah, it's like 50s. That's not too bad. Yeah. So, I wanted to get into this conversation because we do see something, and this is what like grasps my attention, right? Is like drama. And yes, right, we have drama in esports, but it's normally like just through roster drama or an org
Trash
screwing
talk.
up or someone not getting paid or something. Like, it's all outside of the game, right? It's all outside of the matches. I need match drama. I need cheating. I need controversy. I need blown calls, right? I want to say that the league is fixing matches to support a league's favorite when my team loses. Like, that's what I feel like esports is missing, because it happens once in a blue moon, like the iBuyPower controversy from years ago now. It seems like that was a different lifetime. In fact, I'm sure there are listeners who are new to Counter-Strike that don't even know the iBuyPower fiasco. And just for a quick recap for those who don't know, we've talked about it before on the show very early on, but a long time ago, iBuyPower used to have a Counter-Strike team. They got busted for throwing matches for skins. Like, they would bet on themselves to lose and then whatever, throw a match and they would get skins. Because back in the day, you really didn't get paid a lot. So it made sense to
skins, man.
Yeah, $200 for skins. Sure, I'll throw a match. Why not? And so that's where the whole lifetime player ban got involved and Valve got involved and everything there. But that was, I mean, off the top of my head, 5 years ago now? Like, that was forever ago.
2014, yeah. Almost 6 years ago, honestly.
6 years ago.
2020. Yeah.
I mean, that's a lifetime ago in esports. I know after that we had one issue in Counter-Strike where, like, a cameraman accidentally kicked a PC and it turned off in the middle of a match.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
Last year, you had in Call of Duty where it was like a bug in the game where it was like it would announce a winner, but there was still time on the clock or something. I'm not remembering it correctly, but it actually went to where the admin had to make a decision on who won that match, right? And
Right.
to me, like, yes, I understand. Controversies, they're good and bad, right? Like, you don't.
Bad for the organizations, but it's pretty great for the league as a whole. I mean, I know we talked about this in the pre-show meeting. We had the Astros this last week recently come out. They had cheating, literally had a camera pointed at a catcher's crotch, capturing pitching signs and everything. And, all hell broke loose throughout the whole week. You had, stories from your top journalists all over Twitter, breaking news left and right. Managers were fired. GMs lost their jobs. Titles have come under what's it called, scrutiny. And where do you get that in esports? You don't really see that. It's kind of not dramaless. It's just the drama. It's not the right kind of.
It's just a different
drama.
type, right? Like, it seems like anytime there's drama in esports, it's, I don't want to say like major drama or whatever, but it always just seems not involving the game and someone screwed up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it's not really controversy. It literally is just drama, right? It's people kicking up dust for the sake of it. Because for me personally, like, I love it, right? If a team wants to get busted for cheating, and then all of a sudden now you have this conversation of like, well, what do we do, right? It was 2 seasons ago, and they got busted for cheating in this match or whatnot there. Like, they were stealing signs, or maybe like the stage setup allowed one team to see a reflection of the other team's health or whatever, right? I'm thinking like Overwatch. Maybe a team saw an angle to where they could see the other team's ults or something like that. But
yeah, I guess I can see
and like Zen says in chat, like stream sniping, right? And that's a good point, right? So I could definitely see it being more of a thing for online events with stream sniping and things like that, assuming that there's not a delay on the stream. Which, if you're doing an online event, I hope you're doing it with a delay on the stream. But we also talked about in the pre-show, like, low tier esports still have cheating. Like, we'll see stories pop up once in a blue moon from like India where someone got busted for cheating in Counter-Strike. But it's like, but listen, no, not a shot to India and esports in India, but Anuj isn't here, so I can say whatever I want about India. That's not headline news. Like, someone cheating for some Indian team out, there. It's like, it's sure, I guess, throw it in E! News, right? But it's not headline news at all. I
No, I
need
mean,
I need something juicy. I need
I
a
need
big
I need some
team.
intern in the backstage, literally just like switching comms and then like making sure your team can hear what's going on. I don't if you've been to the Arlington Esports Stadium, right? You've seen
Yeah.
like their little comm system set up where they have it. They've set it specifically to prevent cheating. But I'm like, have an intern back there just like swap an XLR cable or swap a little,
The
comm cable,
wires getting
whatever.
crossed over. It happens all the time.
Exactly. Nobody's gonna blink twice.
Or
But
even
then it
like
comes
if the
out like,
org sits someone out into the stands, and even if it's something as subtle like you said, like if it's like a blue light or a green light for if they're going to A site or B site or something like that,
or a
right?
hand on a railing to dictate
Yeah, I
that.
mean,
Something
and that's
simple.
the crazy thing. Like if you're not keeping up with the Astros uh cheating news, it's like some of it's such simple as like they were banging on a trash can, and the amount of times it would bang on would dictate the type of pitch, or they would call out a player's name, and whether or not they were using the player's first name or middle name or last name would dictate what pitch was being thrown. Like all
Mhm.
this stuff is so subtle. I'm not talking about like the VP fans or the Astralis fans throwing up a sign that says A site as the other team is going to A site. Like I don't want lazy cheating. I want thoughtful, planned out cheating in esports. And
And then
I'm
2 or
not
3
even
years
going to be
later.
upset about it.
Right, and then like 2 or 3 years later, let it all come out and let everybody get mad about it, and then disband those organizations from that league or whatever, and then your ratings will go up. That's what we're seeing with baseball. Baseball season has been over for what 3-4 months now, and we're talking about it now
Baseball is
in
dead to
January.
me the second the World Series is over and then the season starts. It's dead to me in between.
Yeah, and it's just like, man, I miss that in esports. Like you don't really see the drama happening. With this, it popped up. I'm telling you, baseball's ratings have never been as good as they are
Right.
right now.
To
Nobody's tuned into MLB TV in the longest time until this drama popped out, and it's just daily, everything 24/7 coming out.
to no fault of its own, esports is almost too perfect, right? Like after a game's over, it's just your team either won or lost, and they got outplayed or they didn't. You're moving the crosshair on their head. You click and it shoots and it hits their head, right? It's all very calculated, and I get that. I get that's the game. I'm not saying games need to add in RNG to be controversy. I'm just saying that's the nature of the beast, right? As far as how the play lays out. There's not
Right.
some ref blowing a call, right? There's not some instant replay we can go in and yell at about like, oh, that shouldn't have happened. That was a penalty, right? And I do know, like, I see Slasher and some other people on Twitter saying like, oh, you don't get this in esports. When was the last time there was something controversial in esports? And like trying to like say like, hey, this is why esports is better. But I'm like, yeah, but you know what? Controversy sells.
It really does.
Controversy sells. You need to have someone yelling at someone, I think, to really kind of pump it up and take that hype to the next level.
And this is something I think that the fighting game community really does pretty well. They tend to keep their drama right at the surface of everything. I'm sure there's countless Smash videos on YouTube you can watch where it's like literally people getting pissed off at each other and whatever. And it's just you don't see that in CS:GO. Really, you don't see people trash talking on stage, not on Twitter. Forget Twitter. Go on stage, get somebody, yell in their face, tell them they're trash, tell them they're off at the game, that their mother was awful to them, whatever, and just create that drama organically instead of just like forcing it on Twitter via text. Come on, man. Give
Yeah.
me something to chop at the bit at.
Yeah, you get that with like Gears, a little bit in Call of Duty, not nearly as much. I feel like a lot of people are becoming a little friendly with Call of Duty, but you know, and I agree. Like Zen is saying in chat that it lacks emotion, and I think that's exactly what like Kevin you were just saying, right? It
Yeah.
just the more and more we're getting into, and that's look, this is not I think out of the ordinary, right? When there's always correction and adjustment. Esports for a long time was not corporate at all, and it almost
Right.
had too much emotion, right? Like you could almost say it was childish in the sense of everyone running it were young 20s and didn't care about the corporate rule of America and, hey, we're going to do whatever we want, it doesn't matter what the corporate rules say or what, oh, you want to say the F word on a broadcast? Say fuck, say shit, whatever on a broadcast. It doesn't matter. But then it kind of adjusted to where it's like, ooh, no, we do need to pump that back a little bit because sponsors and we kind of need corporate, right? We need that corporation rule a little bit. So you got to give and take a little bit. And now it's getting back to, it's just adjusting us all.
It's a pendulum, right? It swings one way while the other swings back the other way too much. So it has to overcorrect again. It just kind of has to slowly find its way and then finally just be in the middle like it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Even the best professional sports don't do it. And when they don't get it right, it's beautiful. It's the drama that we get nowadays. Like this past week, we had OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., going to a college locker room, slap an officer on the ass, and then almost get charged with assault for some reason.
Un-American. If you can't slap a cop's ass after your school won the natty, I don't want to live here. Because I remember, so one of this is perfect example, and I almost want to go and find the videos for it. But when Liquid won the TI one year, and the camera followed the players into the locker room, and they had like champagne in the locker room for them and everything, like the staff and everything there, they were trying to get these guys hyped up. Like, hey, dude, take the champagne, like pop it, right? Like you just won the TI. You won the biggest esports tournament out there. And these players, Kevin, looked, it looked like you just said their parents were all murdered simultaneously because they just looked around. They held the bottle of champagne. It was like, guys, go nuts a little. Like you just won the TI. Like get excited, get hyped. It's okay to be hyped up. I know, like Ginger Slayer says in chat, there needs to be a Conor McGregor. I 100% agree. There needs to be a heel in esports, right? Like for me, I hate Conor McGregor. I think he's the biggest doucher out there. But I'm not the only one, right? Did you
tune into the fight last night?
Oh, of course I watched the fight.
And why did you tune into the fight? Because he's an asshole.
I wanted to see him lose.
Exactly.
There is there's the issue like with esports where everyone is so friendly. Like the Overwatch League drives me nuts.
Yes.
It drives me absolutely insane on how soft the Overwatch League is. Soft. These players, they don't know how to talk shit. They don't know how to get excited. Nothing. They are all so calm and passive and friendly about it. And, a little bit to the league's fault because I do know they find players and everything like early on and everything like that. But like Gears of War is the only scene that I really, and COD a little bit, that is carrying that torch of like, hey, we're going to go in, we're going to talk shit, and that's it.
Like, hey, this is a competition. We're here to win money. We're not here to, make friends or whatever. We're here to win. And that's missing in esports. You see, I don't have an issue with players fraternizing. I just care about the product that's going on stream, on stage, because that's what gets everybody tuned in. I don't tune into Twitter to see, text messages between players. I tune into the actual streams to see the outcomes, to see the drama, to see the storylines that pop up on stage.
And because, the product is what it is, right? There's just not going to be a blown penalty call or anything like that ever in an esport, right? We're not ever going to have a ref dictate anything going on in a game. I mean, maybe like a 1% chance of something happening, right? Like in Call of Duty last year. But very, 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 very rarely will that ever happen. So where does the drama have to come from? The drama's got to come from the players and the orgs, and they got to create their own drama, their own hate between each other. Like, even with the CDL coming up and everything, I see some people tweeting like, hey guys, we got to support every team and we got to be supportive because it's the first year. And like with Overwatch League, all right? And Kevin, you'll understand this, right? Because you're a big traditional sports guy.
Yeah.
In one of the Discords I was in, there was this chick who was a big Fuel fan, right? I think I've told you about this.
Was it a Fuel fan or was it a Valiant fan? I forget.
No. The Valiant fan is a different one. That one is a different chick that I got into it on Twitter over. But this one is a Fuel fan. And we're talking, before the season starts. And she's like, yeah, I'm a huge Dallas Fuel fan. I love them so much. I can't wait for the homestand. I was like, yeah, I can't wait either. It's going to be great. And she's like, yeah. And it's so great because they're playing Houston, and Houston's my other favorite team.
Ooh.
I said, hold the fuck up.
Ugh.
Did you just say a Dallas-based team and a Houston-based team are your two favorite teams? Like, get the hell out of here, dude. No. Yeah. You hate Houston or you hate Dallas. You can't like both.
It's a literal impossibility. I mean, that's the other thing. Like you said, the draw players. The other part of it is the audience has to pick it up and run with it. Because if you don't have the audience picking up what you're putting down, you're never going to have that investment, that entertainment investment into your league.
I couldn't believe that. So like to say like Houston and Dallas are my two favorite teams. Like, dude, you're not a fan of anything then if you're saying that. And the one you were thinking of was the LA Valiant super fan. I don't know her name.
Oh yeah.
But she was the one at the Dallas homestand last year who got upset that the Dallas Fuel fans were booing LA Valiant as they were walking out on stage. And that also drove me nuts because I'll tell you what, if you're an away team not getting booed when walking out on stage, that the home crowd's not doing their job.
Exactly. And it's just, I'm going back to the Houston again because I know this year, Houston is going to get absolutely shelled at away stadiums. Anytime they go anywhere else, whether it's here in Arlington, whether it's, out in, New York, Boston, LA, they're going to get booed. And it's going to be a glorious booing, first of all, but it's going to be an immense investment for the audience. It's just, it's awesome to because I already know it's gonna come. I don't have to that's a nice surprise. No, we all know it's coming. We don't have to we don't have to be surprised by it. We all know it's coming.
And like I said, I agree with some of the people in chat. Esports, they need rivalries, and they do have some rivalries, but we need like rivalries. And maybe the city-based franchise leagues will help with that, right? I do think part of the issue is with esports, everyone is a fan of players, right? Very few people are fan of teams. Like me, I'm a Cloud9 fanboy, ride till I die. But like even when the major winning roster moved on, like I'm not all of a sudden like when Stewie went to MIBR, like I'd be caught dead rooting for that team, right?
Right. Yeah.
I'm Cloud9 fanboy, so I follow them, but I'm in the minority on that one because most people in esports do follow players. I'm hoping with these city-based teams, we start seeing a little bit more rivalries pop up.
I definitely think it's a stepping stone. I mean, the only other professional league, I'm sorry, I keep going back to traditional sports. It's just the only real parallel I can find between esports right now and traditional sports is the NBA is a player-based league for the most part. Everybody follows players, but that doesn't take away the city-based rivalries. You know, Mavericks will still hate Spurs. Spurs will still hate Rockets. And then Rockets will hate Mavericks. It's an ongoing circle. Clippers, Lakers fans hate each other. It's a huge rivalry thing throughout the whole league. Even despite the players being the front of the whole NBA.
Yeah, so it is possible to like root for players, but also have your team and the rivalry org that you dislike. But I don't know. Maybe one day. Maybe this will be the year that we see more drama in esports, but more controversy, I guess. But we'll have to wait and see. Let's get into some yikes of the week, though, Kevin. This is a big moment for you. Your first yikes of the week.
Popping my yikes of the week cherry. I'm a little scared.
I'll let you start with one of yours.
All right. Well, the biggest news coming out, not biggest news, I guess, semi-big news, is the senior vice president, the Immortals Gaming Club basically not paying the prize money won from the tournaments from IBR, from CSGO, and people have issues with that for obvious reasons. These players worked hard for the money, they won the money, and they're not getting their prize money coming back. So apparently the timeline is at least 150 days until they get that prize money, which is, can you imagine having your check withheld for 150 days? That's what, 6 months, I want to say 6 or 7 months almost.
Yeah, just about.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Eh,
So the senior vice president, Tommy, comes out and says, prize money, it's a irrelevant source of funds to the teams. Players always get like 90% of it or so. But it's like for smaller teams, that would be a huge issue. You get away with it because you're a larger organization. But still, it's like we shouldn't be, applauding you for like, oh, at least they're giving their money. No, we should be raking over the coals for not paying your players, which is, again, another issue in esports that needs to be solved if they're ever to be taken seriously.
I think that there's a lot of issues that die from this, right? It's a yikes from the orgs not being able to pay the players as much. And I'm sure Immortals and MIBR, like those guys probably get paid well enough to where
Yeah.
they're not hurting to get the winnings, right? Like they're not banking on paying players off of the winnings of tournaments, especially since MIBR is not winning much. But
big. That's a yikes right there.
there are orgs out there that do need the tournament winnings to kind of help pay the players. I don't know what these contracts look like when, like, if you go to a DreamHack, or not saying DreamHack takes a while to pay, I have no idea, but it almost seems like paying out org and prize money is like the last thing on their list.
Yeah, and I can see that too from an organizational standpoint. But you should have enough of an infrastructure to get this money out.
I don't disagree. I definitely
you should have a funnel, dedicated to all these issues. To see a corporate entity not being able to get this done it's kind of sad.
look, Kevin. I know the ins and outs of money movement because I am a fantasy football league commish. Okay. I do have to hunt people down for money, and I do pay my money right away.
As you should.
The Super Bowl of our league is over. You get your money. There's always one guy, though, every year for the last 5-6 years that he's been in the league.
6 months.
No, he's always the one who, I'll we'll see if I'm not in the Super Bowl, and then I'll pay the money. Like he won't pay. Because if he wins the league, then he's like, well, then I'll just keep that money. And I'm like, that's not how it works. It's not how that works. And I feel like some of these orgs should be going to these tournament organizers and be like, hey, 6 months, not how it works, guy. We need that money.
Right, meow. Right, meow.
We got to pay the bills. We got to keep the lights on. And like I said, for Immortals Gaming Club, not a big deal. For Joe Schmo's Mountain Dew League CSGO team or an Overwatch contender team, they need that money now. They need it ASAP. So maybe if you wanted to be a cool tournament organizer, pay out the winnings first and then worry about everything else.
That's the other thing. And it's interesting you bring up tournament organizers because what was the news that came out this past week about Faceit closing down production for ECS and they're joining was it B-Site or whatever?
Yeah, that new thing.
Yeah, and it just got me thinking man, ECS must have been a hell of a hemorrhage for them if they couldn't afford to keep it up. They had to partner with somebody else for another league. But I mean, tournament organizers, pay your players, pay the organizations who will pay the players.
Right.
I don't know how hard it is to. I mean, I'm
like I said, I don't know the pecking order on how things work on that, right? But it just seems, and you know what? If I do have to play devil's advocate,
hit me with it.
Maybe this is just how it works, and the only people who make a big deal of this are the media guys on Twitter who catch wind, oh, you haven't gotten paid in 150 days, when in reality, it's well, we're moving around hundreds of thousands of dollars. This isn't just some, you're not cashing grandma's check in for your birthday.
Yeah, I can see that, but I mean,
different money, different currencies going through, right? Foreign currencies, maybe.
Yeah, that's why we have an accounts payable department or an accounts received department, pretty much just taking care of all that,
right?
But usually those departments are 1 or 2 people,
right?
Cubicles taking care of all that stuff, which is. Again, I know we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe millions if we're talking about the bigger tournaments, but I don't know. I just feel like esports itself has to do a better job of policing orgs and policing tournament organizers into helping. Because I always say this, right? If we help each other out, rising tide lifts all ships. If you help out your tournament organizers, you look good. Your players feel great because they got paid. Why not help yourselves out and just make sure everybody gets what they're supposed to be getting at the appropriate times. I'm not waiting 6 months for a paycheck. Sorry, boys.
Well said. My yikes of the week will be coming from CDL.
Ooh.
As they announced or they revealed their merchandise line. Their first wave of merchandise, because I highly doubt this is it for the year. And it did not get well received. If that shocks you at all.
Somewhat, a little shocked, man.
So a lot of people hate the jerseys. A lot of people hate the merch. In fact, the merch is so bad that Hex, Chicago Huntsman owner, has personally offered to refund out of his own wallet. If you bought a hat, he will either replace it or give you your money back personally, because the hats look so ass. You can't even read Chicago Huntsman on it because like the font is so small, and it like the yarn work, whatever the embroidery work on the hat is such a shoddy job. Now, I will also say this, Chicago Huntsman fans, who told you that their logo on merch was going to be an issue? This podcast right here. We said Chicago Huntsman is going to look ass on merch because their logo has too much stuff going on. So that is exactly what happened with these hats, and now Hex is having to pay for it himself.
I'll say that, like, at least Hex had the goodwill to come up and actually give people their money back for shoddy, merchandising. But these jerseys look so awful. Oh my god! How much are they? $75 a pop or something ridiculous like that? Oh god!
I don't. You know what's weird though is I don't hate the design of the jerseys. I hate the fact that every team has the same design.
Yeah, it's copy pasted.
Like if that was like a T-shirt, I think it would look fine or something like that. But this is also another yikes for me, and this I will have to go into a bigger discussion. Oh. But yeah, you know what? Let's just talk about it now.
Hit me with it.
I have a theory that if Activision could push back the start date, or if they could go back in time and just refigure out how they want to launch this CDL, they would, right? It almost seems like the start of the league is sneaking up on them.
Oof.
And so there's multiple reasons I think before people start freaking out about the merch, right? A, this is the first line of merch. B, every sports out there have generic ass looking merch that looks the same for every single team, right?
Yes.
Like you can go on every single shop at NFL.com, go through every single team. You're going to get the same design shirt, just swapping out different team names and logos.
Yeah, you'll get a jersey or, is that what they're called?
Jerseys or things like that. Now, there's also unique looking stuff on there, and that comes to my point where we are going to get unique looking merch from each one. We even see the Dallas Empire dropping their own merch. But,
man,
and I don't know the ins and outs of these rules here, but the CDL is profit share, right? So maybe it's just for these type of merchandise where the profit share comes into play and the custom stuff isn't. We saw this with the Overwatch League, which of course is also ran by Activision Blizzard, where, across the league, teams are wearing the same style of jerseys, and then eventually they came out with their own unique looking ones that they wore here and there.
I just think there's too many graphic designers in esports to not have some creativity when it comes to jerseys,
I agree. And I think, though, that's where the time constraint comes in. I think Activision has been sitting on their asses, not paying attention to when the CD, like not looking at their calendar, all of a sudden looked up and said, oh my God, this starts in a week. Do something, right? Like we just have to mass produce this stuff ASAP. So they got generic looking merch out there, and this is what you're stuck with. This is what happens when I think the league is not properly using their time wisely. I mean, Kevin, we are 1 week away from this league starting. I play Call of Duty every day. There is still not
Yeah.
one in-game advertising for this league about to start where owners invested $20 million up front. I watched a documentary the other day that said for owners, when they got into the NFL, when the first football league started in America, it was
Right.
like $100 to get in. That's how much it costs to get your franchise spot in the NFL. $100.
How much was that back then?
Not 20 million.
That's for sure.
Yeah, sure, it's not $100 today, but not 20 million. And that's what these guys paid here. Let's see here, $100 100 years ago.
How much would that have been? I guess like
2,487. So $2,500.
That's still not that bad. I could cough up probably 2,500 right now on a credit card and be.
I mean,
cool
if you
with-
said a franchise spot in the Call of Duty League was $2,500, yeah, TCR would have a team. Like I would have done that.
and they'd have kick-ass jerseys to top it too.
But they weren't 2,500. They were 20 million. And when you get merch that looks like it was for $2,500, that's the issue, right? Is that you're
Yeah.
going from the CWL where teams had their creative freedom to now going into the CDL where teams don't have creative freedom. And again, I get it. When leagues start, things look generic, right? What was that football league that started and folded like within a month?
The AA
The
something football
AAF
league
or something like that, the American
AAF.
Football Federation. But
folded in like literally 3 weeks.
But all their stuff looked generic as hell, right?
Yeah.
The XFL stuff is coming out. That stuff looks generic as hell.
Yeah.
Because they just want to meet the press line, right? They just got to get the stuff out there to do it. The issue is it's all rushed, and when you already had a product, right? Like Optic Gaming already has a jersey. They had their design. Just use that design. FaZe has a design. Just use that design. And yet now you're getting it to where you're taking step backwards. It's just...
I think it's just a result of them making promises they can't keep or are still trying to keep in relation to the start time of the league. And it's just we're seeing the result of it now. They're skimping on creativity when it comes. I mean, it's what the same. Literally, look into these jerseys, the same exact design. Oh, let's just go into paint and then just drop in different colors every time on the stripe across the chest.
Yep. And like I said, I don't blame the guys who designed it. I blame the league for obviously not giving them creative freedom or the time needed, right? Like who knows how long they had to work on this or anything there. They could have had badass designs and then the league trash them and say, nope, give us something else. So I don't know, but that's my yikes of the week is just everything about this CDL that's about to start. Listen, the league desperately needs to start because it desperately needs some positive buzz around it.
Yes, because all I hear so far is rumors and mumblings about them having a rocky start to the season, and we're still a week away from Minnesota being the opening day
Event thing.
Event, I guess.
It just needs the league just needs to start so people start talking about the game and not about every little thing that they've screwed up along the way.
Also, put your damn CDL in your damn game.
Not that
How
difficult.
hard is that?
Not that difficult. I don't have a degree in marketing, Kevin, but I'm pretty sure that's marketing 101.
If you want people to watch your game's tournaments, why not advertise on your own game? It's literally free advertising other than the people you're to get that coding done. That's all it is.
It can't be that difficult. I better log in to Call of Duty next week. When those matches are going, there better be an in-game video player playing. Like, I should have to close it out to get to the actual game to play. I want you to throw up CDL all over me.
Also, the other merchandise in the store isn't too awful. It's just like the generic T-shirts.
And like I said, I'm not against. Look, every sport out there has generic looking stuff. That's fine. I wasn't expecting them to come out here with a full line of Gucci partnered merch.
I mean, Gucci partnered merch would be pretty dope, though. Not gonna lie.
I was hoping for a little bit more of a copy paste job on the jerseys, but then again, look at who you're dealing with. It's the same guys who did Overwatch League, which was copy and paste. So,
all right. So is it my turn now for you?
Yeah. Have you got any more? You got any more yikes?
I guess my last one's just a little little sad. And if anything, a 27-year-old out of India dies of a heart attack while playing PUBG Mobile. And dying of the heart attack, I can get around. Playing PUBG Mobile, it's a little rough. Basically, in the medical report, doctors said that his nerves got stretched in excitement somehow. This is again
because he's looking
Indian
down.
doctors. He's looking down all the time, so
He's
just
looking
looks
down at
up.
his phone, and then he gets tensed up.
He just looks up and then stretches the neck nerves, and just the blood flow stopped, resulted in a heart attack, killed him.
So I played PUBG Mobile once, and I almost had a heart attack based off all the microtransactions that were in the game. So I understand. I understand where this guy comes from.
That's another yikes for me. Just FYI, just PUBG Mobile in general is just such a scummy mobile game.
Mobile gaming in general is scummy. You could just let's not shoehorn PUBG into this one. They're not the only guilty of this party. Mobile gaming in general is just burning holes into people's wallets.
And I get like at every DreamHack that I go to, at every QuakeCon, there's always like a little mobile event.
Hey,
on their phone.
It's super popular.
I'm not gonna hate it, but I can't take it seriously when your game literally has a scummy, pay money here to get more coins. What?
Yep.
It's dumb. I can't take it seriously. I know that you will. I'm sorry. I know you play Clash of Clans or Clash Royales, whatever. But me personally, I can't take it seriously.
No. Yeah, they tell me it's the biggest gaming industry out there is mobile. But hey, what the hell do we know?
Well, that's my yikes of the week right there, Tim.
Excellent. Well, Kevin, what a wonderful journeyman into yikes of the week.
It's my first time ever.
Excellent stuff. Let's get into some e-news. Hey, by the way, exciting news about e-news. For the first time in 205 episodes, the last episode 205 was the first episode that got flagged on YouTube for copyright infringement because I used this song in the underbed for e-news. I'm like, guys, this is like we're 205 episodes in. Why are you just now flagging this?
Did they tell you like who flagged it, or was it just
it's like the record company or whatever, but
okay.
I'm sure it was just some automatic bot. But I just thought it was funny. It's a funny note there. Only reason I use this song is based off the e-news segment that the Hardline uses at the ticket. Shout out for anyone who knows that.
Also, R.I.P. Reiner, who didn't die, just retired.
Yep. Yeah, we didn't talk about that on the show, but Mike Reiner of the ticket retired a week or so ago, and for those who don't know, he pretty much
built the ticket. Right?
Yeah, built the ticket, the radio station that I got my career started at for radio, and kind of gave drive to do the podcast. And he's introduced us one or two times on the show, so it's pretty cool. And you know what? Good for him. Anyone that can retire from radio, God bless him.
Including yourself, Tim.
God bless him. Hey, man, I'm not retired yet. Not retired yet. All right. So in other CS:GO e-news, lots happened here, and I know Anuj is in Hawaii with his pregnant wife. Which, first off, last place I would want to be with a pregnant woman. By the way,
Hawaii.
Anyone out there who's had a pregnant wife knows what I'm saying. Definitely Hawaii ain't gonna be my list of things to go. But he's like still messaging me about Counter-Strike. Like, bro, you are in Hawaii. Just let it go.
With your wife.
Exist is leaving Fnatic. He is rumored to now be signing with Dignitas, of course, joining up with his former NIP teammates. With that being said, Golden officially is off of Cloud9's roster, as he's been on there for a stand-in or whatever you call it. And he is now joining Fnatic. So it's good to see Golden finally get back into it. In a roster that I think he, I didn't hate Golden on C9. I just think C9 was in a funky spot, and he was kind of victim of that roster rotation mania that Cloud9 had going on for a while.
Yeah, I can't hate the move. I mean, good for Golden, first of all, coming in, and good for Fnatic. Both of them, making some waves in the esports. And sorry, not esports. Well, I'm still stuck on the whole drama from esports thing. Hold on, let me reset real quick. Good for both teams, for both guys to finally get together and make CS:GO waves.
Definitely. Valve, and this will be brought up in larger discussion here when Anuj gets back, because I know he'll want to talk about it, but Valve is to replace the invite system for their majors with a ranking system. And this is to start for the second major later this year. Now, the reason I say we're going to talk about this later is because there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered on this, as far as like, what's the type of decay drop off for their ranking system? How far does it go back? Is this starting right now? Like, what's happening here? This is such a weird thing for Valve to all of a sudden replace, when before it's like they just switched to this format not that long ago. So now we're going to a different system.
I mean, do I hate it? I don't think I'll hate it. I just think, like you said, I just don't like it happening, I guess, for lack of a better word, in the middle of a season.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like you're doing it for the second major of the year, but why not just say, hey, we're starting it now. This will be there for next year. I don't. It almost like I almost feel like there's so many, and this is why I'll have to really look into how the ranking system works, because although they might not be doing a hardcore invite system, every other tournament out there is an invite system, right? For the most part. So it's like they better only be doing ranking systems for other tournaments that involve qualifying tournaments. Because if you're taking a ranking points from a tournament that was an invite and other teams didn't have a chance to be there because they weren't invited, well, right there, your system's kind of flawed.
Yeah.
Like off the start, it's a little flawed.
It reminds me of the misstep that Overwatch had with their little update in the middle of the season, literally changing the whole game up. But
don't get me started on Overwatch.
Oh God, that's another train wreck waiting to happen this season. We'll see how that works out. But
we talked a little bit about it before, but Faceit is ceasing ECS operations and going to be working with B-Site, which is, I won't lie to you, Kevin, B-Site just all of a sudden kind of popped out of nowhere. All of a sudden, like, Thorn's working with them. They got all these guys involved. Like, and I still don't really know what the hell it is. Like,
never heard of it before, and then all of a sudden Thorn joins, and I'm like, who the hell are these guys?
Yeah, it's all.
And then they already have orgs committed to them. Cloud9, MIBR, Gen G, Mad Lions. Eventually they'll branch out to 12 teams committed to their little B-Site league.
Yep.
So it's interesting to me. I'm curious how it'll turn out. I mean, there's an entry fee too, $2 million to enter the league, and then it's literally.
But not a league. Remember, Counter-Strike doesn't like leagues.
Oh, sorry.
Don't say league at Counter-Strike. We don't like that. We don't like that league.
Whoops.
No. People at Counter-Strike will tell you they don't like leagues. Leagues are for suckers like Overwatch and Call of Duty fans.
Give me one-off tournaments every single month.
No structure. In Overwatch news, Overwatch partners with, I don't know who this guy is, Jeff Staples. He's apparently like a clothes designer, but to do their jerseys.
Yeah. Oh, old Staple. He's the Nike guy. Staple is.
Okay,
right?
There you go. I don't know. Look at me. Do I look like I know anything about fashion?
He works with a lot of like other companies to design. Like he worked with Nike. He worked with Levi's.
The thing that makes me chuckle here is that everyone hates the CDL stuff because they're copy and paste. Well, the new Overwatch jerseys this season, although do look very hip, they look very street and cool, they are also very copy and paste. Like every team is going to have the same jersey. So, again, I don't understand why we do that. Like, I don't know if it's just for the sake of merch or what, but
I mean, that's the only thing I can assume: merch and just ease of
production,
of manufacturing. Yeah,
but it's just I don't know. Like I said, it looks cool. It's just the fact that every team is the same. It's like, okay,
it's a disappointing little thing. I just wish, like the Cowboys have their throwbacks, or I wish they'd let other teams take advantage of different designs.
Yeah,
It'd be nice.
Yep. In other League of Legends news, Mad Lions ends up forming a roster there. Kevin, you're a League of Legends guy.
I am, in case people don't know who the Mad Lions are. They're kind of like B-Side. They popped up out of Spanish esports organization. They were bought by Splice earlier last year. And so pretty much they just took over that Splice roster in League. And
okay.
I mean, well, Splice took their name and used it for themselves, I guess, for lack of a better word. And so they renamed themselves Mad Lions Madrid.
Okay,
It's pretty nice.
So when I'm looking at League of Legends, Mad Lions is former Splice.
Pretty much, yeah. Except you got to remember, Splice bought Mad Lions, and now they took their.
Yeah, well, that's
their
because
name.
like Splice was killing their Splice off, right? Like that ownership
Yeah.
group was killing off Splice. Last I heard, so
Pretty much, and so they still have the same roster. They have Warlib, they have Hatrix, Flecked, Prime, all the same players from Splice, but they're just now on Mad Lions Madrid. So it's nice.
all right. Interesting,
Nice.
interesting enough there. What's been going on with League of Legends too?
Lately, we just have a few. I think LCK started up this past week, and so
What's LCK?
League of Legends Championship Series of Korea.
Oh,
what it
how
should
did
be
I
known
not
as.
know that?
Sorry, it's a lot of LC, LCL, LCK,
For
LVL.
a very super casual fan, and when I say that, I mean I literally don't watch anything other than when Worlds pop up.
Okay,
It's
I know, yeah.
really difficult to follow all that because I see it like on Twitter and like everyone's like, "Oh, the LC and the TC," and I'm like,
All you got to know is that the LC whatevers are just different regional tournaments where people, the top two teams will go to Worlds or go to mid-season invitational, and from then on, it just kind of. LPL started up this past week. By the way.
Right. So all of
and
that
then-
is starting up though.
Yeah, it's all starting up back. It's the spring split is starting up, so it's gonna be nice to
All
see.
right. So the season, I could say that the season for League of Legends is starting.
Yes, it is starting. You can officially say that if you guys have like little sports updates or esports updates, as I like to call them. You can
Yeah.
just drop that in there.
All right.
Also,
Well,
esports updates.
I will do my best to keep up with some League of Legends this season.
Yeah, Ginger Slayer also noted in the chat. Cloud9 dropped Sneaky, my favorite cosplayer of all time.
Oh, that's official now.
Yeah,
They officially dropped him.
Yeah.
I remember. I think we reported that a long time ago. So maybe
Yeah,
we were
it's
just ahead of the curve on that one.
Sven is officially taking over the AD carry position or marksman position, whatever people call it nowadays.
All right. Yeah, so again, casual fan of Cloud9. I won't try to pretend like it like breaks my heart or something. But it does suck to see Sneaky not on the roster just cuz again, from a casual fan, he was such like a fan favorite, right? I have no idea if he was actually good or not.
He was decent. He was think of him like not Brett, who's another like all-time quarterback who's not that great. I guess like Joe Flacco, He was
He's
good.
got a Super Bowl.
Nobody hates him. Yeah, but I mean Cloud9 won. Oh, they didn't win anything.
Yeah, I was going to say Joe Flacco's got a Super Bowl. Let's not.
That's fair enough. I mean, even a blind
What about
rat finds
Tannehill?
some cheese.
Tannehill would be a good one.
Tannehill, yes,
Right?
yes.
Good quarterback, likable dude.
Great
Obviously just
team.
lost, but
Yeah, that's pretty much how I would compare Sneaky to an NFL quarterback.
Tannehill definitely, he might cross dress, right? Might do some female cosplay.
Even if he did cross dress, he would not look as good as Sneaky. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No. I've said it before. If you're gonna do that, if you're gonna be a guy dressing up like a female cosplayer, you better go 110%.
Oh yeah,
And
you better
Sneaky
go all out where
100%
everybody's questioning
does that. Like, you can make fun of the guy who does a female cosplay that looks like shit. You can't make fun of Sneaky though. Like, that dude just brings it.
You gotta respect the enthusiasm. Same with who's the guy? Sonic Fox putting on the weird furry costume.
No, you can hate on Sonic Fox. You can hate. Listen, Kevin, you're new to the show, all right? You've been a guest a few times, but I'm going to give you slack on that one. We draw the line at furry. That's
What
the
if I
rule here on
told you-
TCR.
What if I told you there's an in? I could get you an interview with Sonic Fox, but it would have to be with the furry costume on. Couldn't get him. other way.
I would still do it. I'm not a monster. I just wouldn't
Just don't
support it.
Fair enough. I'm not gonna yuck your yum there. All
You
right.
know, I won't kick him out of the house, but I definitely won't support his decisions either.
Oof, that's a dad move right there.
Yeah,
Holy crap.
yeah. I will sit him
Sounds
down
like
and I
my
will give
dad.
him a stern talking to.
Thanks, Papa Tim.
But yeah, the furry. That's a different ball game. In other news, Envy is cleaning house just a little bit. just a little bit as Envy announced that they are parting ways with both their PUBG team, which they've been in PUBG, I would almost say damn near since the beginning. They were like
That's a
one of
good
the
one.
first big orgs to jump into PUBG. So that's kind of big on their that part there. Especially since like PUBG is PUBG's a weird game where it just seems to not be going away.
It's a global thing. It's not even like a regional thing. It's international teams like it. I don't know
The
what to
mobile
think
scene
about
on it is huge. People
Yeah.
dying while playing it.
Well, the mobile version of it. At
Yeah,
least.
but still, it's just still PUBG in general. But Envy says sayonara, and also they say goodbye to their Paladins team, which former world champ team, by the
Oh,
way. So
that's
obviously
good
that
news.
can't be an easy decision to drop your former champion roster, unless my theory is true. And the only reason any org plays in Paladins is because the devs pay them to have a team in Paladins. Because no one in their right mind would think you could turn profit with a team in Paladins.
You need like an X-Files music drop whenever you say like theory time, like do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, because
Yeah,
I
you should.
100% believe you.
I
wouldn't doubt
There's
it.
no reason anyone. I mean, you hear stories about how you can't get profit in Counter-Strike, right? Like teams in Overwatch League haven't turned profit yet. You're telling me teams can
anywhere.
roster a Paladins team? Okay.
Yeah, like, in what world do you make money off Paladins? I want to see those pay stubs or those little paychecks you receive that it says, oh yeah, this is clearly profit from Paladins, not from the developers. I promise you.
Yeah.
Come
No, not at all. So they are no longer there. Of course, Envy probably making room with their new setup with CDL and Overwatch. They don't have enough room for a Paladins practice area, so they were like,
don't.
"Sorry, guys." What if the way they told them they weren't getting signed back is that they just left their stuff in their old office?
Just-
And like
I'd be-
they just the PUBG and Paladins team try to like use their key fob to get into the new Envy office, and it just wasn't working.
Just
then-
call up the PR guys, like, hey guys, my key's not working. What happened? I was
Then
like,
Mike walks.
"Oh, really?"
Mike doesn't even walk out. He just looks through the glass door and just kind of nudges, like, "Hey, what can you do?"
And just looks over his desk. Yeah, I don't. It's,
Nah.
it's out of my hands. It's out
Not
of my
right now,
hands.
guys.
Sorry.
Not right now.
Pretty
So-
much, I mean.
There's that for Envy.
Also, have you
And
been- have you been to
Nike
the new headquarters
partners.
yet?
What's that?
Have you been to the new headquarters yet? Or
Not
no?
yet. Not yet.
They haven't been returning my calls, man. I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign.
They are. I know we had Jay on the show the other
Yeah.
day, and he says they're still putting things together for it.
I
So
also heard that, so I'm wondering what else they're doing.
we
last minute.
plan on
Let's see.
going up to see the Envy's office whenever they're finished.
I'm right there with you then.
So anything to guilt trip them and giving me some free Empire merch, I'm down.
Even though the CDL merchandise looks trash,
Again,
the Dallas Empire logo looks dope.
I can't say a whole lot of the situation, Kevin, but I can also promise you that there are other merch other than that coming out. So, if you don't like this merch, don't forcefully spend your money on it. Just wait till the new merch comes out.
All right, is that an insider source you got there, waiting to pop out on the show?
That is right. That is very
Cool.
true. So we have that, and in other news, speaking. Oh, I'm dying.
It's okay, Tim. If you die, I'll take over. For a little bit.
Speaking, let's just get through this. Speaking of merch here, Nike partners with T1.
Yes, it's a big move for them. Nike's a what would you call a tier 1 brand?
Yeah, Nike, I would say, is safe. That is a tier 1 brand, and I would also say T1 is a tier 1 brand in esports, anyways.
Yeah, I would agree. It's all these designers hopping in on esports just kind of gives me a little glimmer of hope that they're not just there to for a quick buck and then just bolt
So
on esports.
also, you bring that up. I'm going to cut you off for a second.
Go ahead.
A lot
show
of
your
these
rules.
professional leagues, when I say a lot, I mean every single one of them, like the NHL, MLB, football, all of these guys, right? Their jerseys are actually designed by Nike or Adidas. Like
Yeah.
Nike is in football, right?
Yes.
Adidas is the NHL. I know that. Nike is NBA.
Yes, and now they're moving into MLB. So they've got four
That's
of the
right, yeah, they
five
do.
major sports.
Quick shout out, Nike. Pump the brakes with the powder blue jerseys in the MLB, okay? One team was cool. When every team is bringing back a powder blue jersey, not as cool.
I don't hate it. That's my hot take of the day. I don't hate the powder blues.
But like 5 teams announced that they're having powder blue jerseys.
Who is it? Rangers, Rays, Royals,
Blue Jays,
Blue Jays, one other I
Minnesota,
forget.
the Twins.
Minnesota. That's it. Yep, 5 right there.
It's like, okay, I get it. They all have classic powder blues. Thank you.
I don't hate it. I'm just saying it's
I
a
like
really
them,
nice
except
design.
for when every team does it.
Fair
Yes, and Nike also signed with G2, so that's also a big brand to sign with them. My point is that the CDL is designing their jerseys, or I assume, right?
Yes.
So maybe if they can partner with Nike or another one of these clothing lines,
Adidas,
right?
Puma.
Let that clothing line work with the teams in designing them. That way the league isn't worrying about it, and then you can get a little bit more creative that way.
Plus, you get better partnership that way. Nike will advertise your products on their sites and stuff. It's nice to see, them being engaged like this. I wish they did design a shirts because it'd be so dope. I mean, just seeing what the Rangers process did here in the DFW Metroplex, it's just, from what I heard, Nike was just an absolute joy to work with on new jerseys and new stuff like that. I'm just like, come on.
Like I said,
on this.
I don't want to jump the gun here with all the CDL merch talk and all that, because I truly just think this is the first wave of generic stuff, and I think there's going to be better, cooler stuff coming out, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Excellent. Well, Kevin, thank you for filling in while Anuj is out.
Just got to fill the daily quota of brown filling in the show that is TCR.
That is right. That is right. Can't have 2 white hosts. Can't have that. That will do it for episode 106 of The Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. It's done. It's in the books. Thank you so much again. Follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring. You can also follow Kevin. What's your Twitter?
At Correa24, CORREA24, like Carlos Correa, but I'm not wearing a wire, I promise.
There you go. We will be back. We might be back on Wednesday. Anuj is still out. So whether, Kevin, maybe you can fill in again. I can find someone else. I can think of something.
I should be available that night if you need me to. So just shoot me a text message, a little text, and I'll see if I can fit you in my schedule.
I am told that I said episode 106. It is definitely episode 206. Let's not sell myself short.
Whoops.
100 episodes. Yeah. Okay. That's it. We're done. Thanks for listening. At The Center Ring on Twitter. Center Ring on iTunes. Rate it. Review it. Good to go. All right. Thank you. We'll see you next time.